What's up, everybody? Today we're back for another video about the small but large but mighty Beosound 2. Let's get into it. So yeah, I've had this gorgeous Beosound 2. I loaned it from Bang Olufsen Ter Horst here in Utrecht, and you can buy them there, obviously. Links in the description, and I'll probably also put his Instagram and Facebook right over here. And yeah, I've had it for, I don't know, about 2 weeks now. I had to play around with it, and I was always really interested because in the shop you can test them next to each other, and usually shops are quite large, so smaller speakers lose some of their oomph, which is to be expected, but I mean, there you go. So there's nothing like home testing. So that's why I asked for one, because I already own the smaller brother, the Beosound 1, and I really enjoy that little speaker. I guess the main difference is that the Beosound 1 has a battery in it, so it's technically portable, although I've had it for, I don't know, about a year now, and I've hardly moved it ever. And the reason being, mostly, is like for either of these, this aluminium work is bloody magnificent. It's some real craftsmanship, and wherever I go, I tend to, like, if I were to take them to the table, like, I don't want to get any greasy fingers on it, especially in this color. You see it a lot more than on the aluminium. So in the end, I guess I just never had the urge to move it a whole lot. Also, in the shop, I don't know, at normal listening levels, I guess, they sort of sound similar. And then you come to home, and I'm not meaning to say they're obviously at the lower end entirely different, but when you get above 60, is where the Beosound 2 really starts to shine. And it's partially the power, and it's partially that it has more speakers. I mean, this has a full range driver up in here that like fires down like that. This has a tweeter, for instance. This has a 4-inch woofer down here in the bottom that again fires onto a cone to disperse at 360. This has a 5¼ inch driver. Also, this one has 2 mid-ranges facing opposite ends. That's why you have the slats here. It's for the sound to come out. And it does a marvelous job. So also the other difference technically is this is mono, single point. This is sort of stereo in single point. And it actually, for the size it is, and for how narrow these two drivers are next to each other, the stereo separation is quite good. My living room is about, in total, something like 60 square meters, something like that. And this one has no problem filling that. I'm not saying this doesn't, but you need to crank it a lot more. However, with this, if you crank it to the same sort of volume level, I don't mean dB level, but volume level, my walls are concrete here. And even other walls start shaking a bit, and you start feeling it in the floor. This thing is able to kick like a mule. It's unreal. The sort of gripe I always had with it, especially in sort of dealerships, is that the light tends to be somewhat harsh in dealerships, as in it's overly lit, and you would do that obviously for most products. And that's where I always thought, like, I don't like this sort of slat design with the black on the inside, and where you sort of have that contrast. And I must say, at home, in a lot smoother light and or in like afternoon sunlight, I really start to like this. My opinion on the looks have really changed. I always sort of came to it as, I like the speaker. It's not that pretty, and therefore I went with the Beosound 1 in the end. Thinking back on it now, I'm thinking, if I had to do this again, I think I would have gone for the Beosound 2. I mean, also knowing now how little actually I carry my Beosound 1 around, and I'd rather use my Beoplay A1 for that. It's almost a no-brainer. This thing is, in the right lighting, is gorgeous. You have all the other colors, obviously. I'll put in an overlay at some point. But yeah, I like this color. I like the new contrast collection color. There's a bunch of photos on my Instagram for that as well. Maybe I'll overlay one where you have the brushed finish. Although I must say I like this one just as much. It's a bit of a toss-up. I could go for either one, really. It's a fantastic product to sort of illustrate how powerful it is, and it's not like, don't get misled by the specs, but so it's 1 3/4 inch tweeter which has a 40 watt amplifier class D for it. Then you have 2 2-inch mid-ranges, both have 11 watts class D amplifier, and 2 20 watt class D amplifiers for the 5 1/4 inch woofer. One could say that doesn't sound like a lot, but dear lord, is it getting close to something like a Beolab 17 or 18 even. I'm pretty sure in bass this outperforms the 18s. Although maybe not exactly in top end power, but certainly for comfortable listening levels. This thing goes insanely loud. It goes up to 94 dB, which I don't know, if you're like some sort of club head or something, you think that's not that loud, but that constant, anything above basically 80, you're screaming at each other. Like even in a room my size, you're screaming at one another. And I've had a few instances where like we were sitting over there, which is like, I don't know, 10 feet, 3-4 meters away. And my girlfriend sits on the other side, and this still sits right here. And we're like, literally screaming. Well, maybe not exactly screaming, but we're certainly raising our voices quite loudly above what we normally do. I mean, also the bass extension goes way down. It goes down to 33 hertz, and the top range goes up to 23.4 kilohertz. I mean, that's beyond what most people can hear. I must say, there is a certain airiness to the Beosound 1, but that could also be because this Beosound 2 is the Mark 1 version. However, if I'll have a look and I'll make a little annotation, see if the sort of airiness comes back, because there is a slight difference. The biggest difference, I guess, is this has Google Home in it and this doesn't. But that's up to you whether you want it or not. I actually really like the one without it because it makes the setup so much less fussy. Because like Google doesn't want to know a bunch of stuff about you, where you are, etc, etc. If you're into that sort of thing, I would say go for it. It does it really well. But if you don't want to be listened to, now you can even spec the Beosound 1 Mark II with or without Google Home Assistant, and I think that's a great thing. So all in all, I must say, more videos to come about how it actually sounds. I'm impressed, more impressed than I was from the shop. And the Beosound 1 initially really impressed me because of the size, but I guess if you normally you wouldn't necessarily, but if you go past 65 volume on the dial, it gets quite loud. But if you go past that, the ABL starts to kick in a bit with the Beosound 1. That is so much further away with this one. Also, I have it in wall setting because it's close to a wall. I tried it with freestanding, and dear lord, the bass was insane. So, if you're close to a dealer or Bang Olufsen Ter Horst here in Utrecht, pay him a visit, have a play around. I would highly recommend it. The sound is exceptional. I really like it, and as always, aluminium work in Bang Olufsen, gorgeous. And thumbs up from me, and yeah, see you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed, and like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And